adding a tunnel fan and programming a tunnel fan to your Ventra XT, we will go to the menu hotkeys, control device setup, and from here we will highlight, add a control device, press enter, and now we're going to scroll through the list to find our tunnel fan, and we highlight it in blue, press enter, and then we will set which number tunnel fan this is. And we already have another tunnel fan in this control, so we will be setting this as tunnel fan number 2. And here, if you have multiple zones that you have fans in our case, we only have one zone, so it's Z1. And now the module that we're going to hook this fan to, in this case, we're working with just our standalone Ventra XT, so it's going to be module 1. If it was if you had an expansion station hooked to this control, then you would have to change that to another module. And remember, on the Ventra XT, we already have a mod 2 and a mod 3. So if it was an expansion station, it would have to be at least module 4. So then arrow over, and we have wired this fan to relay channel 7, output channel 7. So we'll set that accordingly, press enter to confirm. We have added the fan. So now we go to our channel hotkey, and it brings us back to our menu hotkeys for the actual output channels. And here is our tunnel fan 2 that we just added. And here are the remaining settings to continue setting that fan up. And as you go through your list, you just tap it and highlight it. Use your arrows to go through the menus. And when it's highlighted, you can press enter. If you want to change to a specific temp sensor instead of using all of them, in our case, we're going to leave it at all. Arrow down. Now we're going to set our operating mode. And even though this is a tunnel fan, in our case, we are also going to set it as tunnel and cool, so it can run in power mode or tunnel mode if it's deemed necessary. And these are all your other settings that you can set it on depending on how your barn is going to be managed. So we press enter, and now arrow down, we have our on and off temperature settings. I will leave that there, but again, if you want to set those, you just go in and then you put your settings in there. If you want to change that to 73, change that to 70, press enter, and you set your on and off temp. Arrow down, and here we're going to set our run mode, and you press the enter, and it gives you the different options that you have to let that fan run. And in our case, we're leaving it at temp only, so only the temperature will tell that fan when to come on and off. And as you can see, there are a few things that are grayed out. Those were only going to be options if you have other devices attached to that, and this is an on timer, off timer, but we're not using a timer for this fan, so it's grayed out, so you're not able to set that. Next, the run while entry or exit of tunnel mode. If you want to let this, as your controller is going in or out of tunnel mode, from power mode to tunnel mode, you have the option of telling it to either have that fan run or have that fan turn off if it's already running based off of temperature. So I'll go ahead and change that to yes, but you can put it no if you want. Down to use if you want to use for proportional control. If you're using proportional versus static pressure, this is where you're telling it how to be used. We have static pressure on this controller, so I'm going to tell it no, not to be used for proportional control because we will be static controlling it. And that is your settings. There are a few other settings underneath here. If you have this attached to a curtain, like if you have a sidewall curtain in the barn being used in, say, natural ventilation type modes, this is where you would set those settings if you have sidewall curtains that you are using. But in our case, we do not, so they are not highlighted and accessible right now. And that is how you set your tunnel fan on the Ventra XT.